I wish I'd had that on the recording. All right, here we go. You are listening to Loud on the Set with Kyle and James.
A level-headed movie critic meets a loudmouth movie cynic.
And action! All right, welcome back to the show. My name is Kyle.
This is James.
And today, James, what are we doing?
Listener mail.
Listener mail number 2.
Listener mail number 2.
Yeah, so we do end every episode by giving our email out.
Correct.
And nobody's responded. So no, I'm just kidding. And we do have a considerable amount of cool listener mail that we've received, so we wanted to pay some tribute to that. Thank you all for sending us your mail. The suggestions on top of, we're going to read comments and things like this, but we've gotten so many podcast episode suggestions from you all, so thank you all so much for sending those in. You'll probably be hearing them very soon, coming up in the future. But on that note, we're just going to go back and forth and read some of the highlights, some things that made us think, some things about our episodes that we did terribly. People just ripped us to shreds. No, I'm just kidding. There's none of that. But we're just going to read some of these and chat about them a little bit. So you want to start us off, James, with something you found interesting?
Sure. I'm going to read a message. Well, I'm going to paraphrase a message from Linda.
Linda was on the show providing some listener mail last time, I believe.
I believe so. But here's what Linda had to say about our episode dedicated to Malcolm X, Kyle.
Oh, excellent. That was
Linda
a good one.
says, "This podcast was your best one yet."
Woo!
Ooh. She says, "Both the technical critique and your interpretation from two white guys."
I think I made it very clear that we addressed that point.
And then she says, she finishes off her listener mail by saying, "Enter me in your raffle, and I'm not just responding to enter the raffle."
And we did
Genuine
enter
listener.
her into the raffle. I remember reading that and cracking up as I cut up everybody's name and put them into the little hats. So,
Kyle, let me tell you something. We got great feedback on Malcolm X.
we did. That was a good episode.
Great episode. To date, it's really the only serious episode we've had, at least fully serious.
Right.
We've done reviews on like Ex Machina and The Gift with a lot of jokes and all that stuff. But yeah, man, maybe we'll have to search out some additional themes, right?
Yeah, I know
and
that.
turn to seriousness. That was more or less a gift to me for that month, and
Right.
that's one of my favorite movies. Kyle, we owe you one.
I've chatted with some folks about that from my family and friends that have listened to it and other listeners of the podcast, and people said now that they've listened to that, they're going to go back and watch the film. So some people hadn't seen it before, and I know a couple people have read the book and really liked that we highlighted that too. So excellent. Yeah, I was really happy about that too.
Okay, great. Kyle, what do you got?
This is fun. This is a little bit of listener mail that's kind of an activity for us, but I thought it was a good, quick activity, and I wanted to spontaneously throw it at you here.
Okay.
But of course, you know Andrea, if you've listened to the podcast before.
Number one fan.
Andrea sent us a bit of listener mail about our episode Wannabes. On Wannabes, when we talked about what roles we would put each other in and what roles we would want to play for ourselves. And she, of course, noted that we were only picking male roles as we went through it, just because we immediately identified with that. So she wanted to know some female wannabe characters for each of us.
Excellent question. I got one
Yeah,
ready.
go
You
ahead.
ready? I would be Gina Davis in A League of Their Own.
Ooh, very nice.
She's smart. She's athletic. She's got a good head on her shoulders, right? She's the hardworking, clear-thinking older sister, you know? And she forges her own path, even though she's wildly successful at baseball and could, you know, I'm not going to say earn millions doing that. He didn't pay them millions. But yeah, she chooses a humble lifestyle over superstardom, essentially. Well, that's the way the movie portrayed it anyway.
Right.
But there you go. I'm Gina Davis in A League of Their Own.
Yeah.
Kyle?
Ripley from Alien. As horrifying as that would be, I'm thinking more from an acting standpoint. What a juicy, wonderful role to play. And then coupled with Aliens, actually, being able to take that character from being scared and trapped and finally overcoming the odds at one point, and then just becoming, after that, like the mogul of all that information and of the intelligence, and having to be the powerful political leader to bring people to understanding that these xenomorphs gonna mess us up, and we gotta fight them and do what we gotta do. And what an awesome experience that would be. So anyway,
Right.
I'd be Ripley.
That's pretty. We came up with good answers right off the cuff.
Yeah.
Not bad. Take that, Andrea. Think they were not capable.
We don't think about stuff. So yeah, I thought that was fun. I don't know. Do you have any for me? Any you think I'd be good in?
I'd have to put some thought into. We'll table that discussion.
Know.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll bring it up later.
Yeah.
But yeah, good ones.
Okay, next listener mail. I have one here from Rachel.
Rachel
says, Rachel had a couple of listener mails for us. I'll read a quick one because I'm sure Kyle has some other ones. She was disappointed in The Revenant. Interesting. We recently reviewed The Revenant.
Yes. And she was stoked for that movie.
Yeah. She was happy that Leo won his first Oscar for Best Actor, right?
Mm-hmm.
But she felt that the most deserving this year was Bryan Cranston in Trumbo.
Yeah. And I actually didn't see Trumbo.
Me neither. She keeps saying that I need to see it.
Yeah, but I've heard it's really good.
Interesting.
And almost solely knowing Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad and a few of the films he's been in, wow. The range that he has is so terrifying and like otherworldly. He is a brilliant actor. So Trumbo seems like a phenomenal film, and yeah, I'm excited to go see it. Glad we got some.
Well, Rachel hints to me that given the current political climate and the talks of inequality and how easily we are accepting of a democratic socialist running for president and the scary socialist word and all that stuff, and how it's not so such of a stigma anymore, right?
Right.
That she says you will like Trumbo. So,
excellent.
All right, you got a good suggestion there.
Awesome.
All right, what do you got next, Kyle?
Very cool.
Listen to mail.
This one is about our episode Crutch Films.
Ooh.
And two people kind of gave us some Crutch films of their own.
Excellent.
Sandy said that her Crutch film, her all-time Crutch film, is Jaws.
Nice.
That's like her favorite film of all time is Jaws. And it's a good movie. It holds up all this time later. Even when you see the shark and he looks a little rubbery, there's something still terrifying about it. I wouldn't get in the water with that giant mechanical shark. Not at all. It's terrifying. But another film she mentioned, and I'm curious to know if you've seen this or not, because I think it's in black and white. It might not be, but The Blob. Have you seen The Blob starring Steve McQueen?
I've not seen it.
I have seen it. I have it on VHS. And she said that was another film that she was watching recently. Really good. The Blob.
Wow.
And then Andrea responded on top of a film that I had mentioned, L.A. Confidential, and backed it up 10 million fold. She said she's bought so many copies of this film and has bought them for other people that she really loves it. And I can't remember, I think you said you hadn't seen it, right?
I have not seen it.
I would highly, highly recommend it. It's coming from Andrea as well. It is a phenomenal mystery film, action film, drama. It's got brilliant actors and actresses in it, incredible screenplay, and it all takes place in that like 40s Tinseltown Hollywood. And Danny DeVito's in it, so go see it.
All right. You got me.
So
there.
Some Crutch films from some people.
Excellent. Crutch. That was a long time ago we made that episode.
It was a long time ago.
Excellent. All right, we're digging deep into the mailbag here.
Digging deep.
Listen to mail. Here's one from my dad, Kyle.
Ooh.
My dad says, this is from straight from his mouth. I don't have it written down. He said this to me, and I remember it. He says, "Yeah, I've been listening to your blog." He calls it a blog.
Well, it's on a blog.
That's good.
So
yeah, he goes, "Yeah, I've been listening to your blog." I said, "Yeah, what do you think?" And he goes, "You know, Kyle doesn't curse." I got the hint. And then, of course, the conversation, "Oh, why you got to curse so much? It makes you sound like this, that, and the other, and when you're really not a stupid idiot and all that." It's just, I get worked up, you know?
Entertainment.
I made a promise to my dad that I might try to curse a little bit less.
Okay.
I don't know if I've been doing it. This listener mail is from weeks back, you know?
It's the yin and the yang.
Yeah, there you go.
Good for fucking you, James.
Oh! Hey, did you hear that? The blog just got worse.
You know, that reminds me of a really funny joke. A comedian named Bill Hicks. Have you heard of Bill Hicks?
Bill Hicks is the best.
Bill Hicks was the best. Too soon. He got pancreatic cancer and he died. He had a really funny joke about Bob Hope, and his parents came and saw his act one time. And he's pretty filthy, you know, he talks about lots of stuff, but so brilliant. He's such a smart guy, like knew the world so well. And he asked his parents, or they told him what they thought of the act, and they said, do you have to use the F word so much? This is exactly how he says it. Bob Hope doesn't have to use the F word in his act. And he just goes, yeah, well, Bob Hope's not playing the shitholes I'm at. Made me think of that, so, yeah.
Bill Hicks.
Bill Hicks. If you haven't listened, go and listen.
The documentary movie on his life, American.
Oh, yeah.
Bill Hicks, American, I think it is. Anyway, the cover art is his
like
mouth
that.
with like an American bandana.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant.
So good.
I quote Bill Hicks up and down. What is it? You do advertisements, you're off the artistic roll call. Which is why, Kyle, we continue to reject corporate sponsorship here.
Oh, yeah. Everyone is calling. Our phone line is blowing up.
You accept that money, like Bill Hicks said, you're off the artistic roll call. So, ad-free, loud on the set, still ad-free, baby.
Ad-free. Brought to you by Just Kyle and James.
All right.
All right, moving on. So this one comes to us about our episode Ex Machina.
Yes.
This was a really good movie. Heard a lot of people talk about it. Rachel responded to this one as well, as my sister Hallie. She responded as well.
Oh, good. Hey,
but
Hallie, what's up?
What's going on, Hallie? So Rachel was talking about Ex Machina, and she was addressing some of the points that we made about Caleb at the end of the film.
Mm-hmm.
And she and her boyfriend both think that Caleb dies. And they referenced the fact that, of course, that was your decision as well. I didn't feel like that. But they made a solid point in referencing that just like the old, I don't know what to call them, cyborgs? Just like the old replicants or whatever you want to call them, that Nathan builds, the creator guy, they outlive their purpose and their usefulness when he moves on and builds a better one, and they become, tossed away. They become secondary. And Caleb outlives his use. He becomes secondary. He's no longer needed. He gets left there. Wow. So I thought that was an interesting point. Another thing she mentioned, and she said she actually went to a talk with the director, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
But this one he was kind of coy about. But she mentioned how Nathan only makes females and how this could potentially be a metaphor for how men construct the perfect female nowadays with internet dating, and she mentioned with pornography and lots of other things, how men are in this world where they're searching for that perfect female and not seeing them as other people, seeing them as this construct of society. And I think we see that magazines, everybody's being airbrushed all the time, body image, all of that. I think that's a really solid point that the film is absolutely representing, even if the director didn't want to give it up.
we gotta have Rachel on the show.
We do.
Rachel
will be on soon.
Yep.
Another thing, and I believe your brother mentioned this as well, but Hallie brought this to my attention afterwards and thought this was hilarious. She said, so you reviewed Ex Machina, and you know of the trope, I know you know, Kyle, of Deus Ex Machina, which is the idea that the plot is guided so that it can move on.
Yeah.
So the Deus Ex Machina is whatever needs to happen to make the plot move on is happening. And during the film, I referenced that was the only flaw that I thought about the movie, was that it just felt like it just clipped on the one note and just kept having to advance its plot. So she said, so the thing you liked least about Ex Machina was Deus Ex Machina. And I was like, yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it. So
yeah, we were we showed a little bit of our lack of preparation. We both know what Deus Ex Machina is, and yet when we described the movie itself in the title, we acted like we'd never heard of that term.
Nobody made that.
Perhaps it comes from this. Like, we knew. Like, if we just stop for a second, stop our big mouths for a split second.
But we get so excited and want to share with everybody.
I want you people to come to the studio. And
there's preparation. Listen, we have papers.
There's paper here.
We write on the papers.
There's a Lucky Podcast pencil right here.
You can hear it. A Lucky Podcast glass of water.
And a hat. And a hat.
All right, bring us to another one.
Okay, here we go. This one comes to us. I think we might have some more from this guy, but we'll get him started now.
Okay.
Kevin.
Kevbo.
What's
going on, Kev?
He just sent this to me last night, actually.
Ooh, okay. Fresh listener mail.
He was watching a movie from work, and he sends me this message afterwards. Finally got around to watching Ant-Man while at work. Even though I was essentially being paid to see this flick, after it was over, I still wanted my money back. And I said, that's very clever. My brother's very clever with words and stuff like that. A very clever play on words. And then he said, I got to listen to your Ant-Man episode again. And I said, this is back and forth text, right? This is listener mail via text.
Man, that was like episode 4 or
I know.
something.
So I sent him way back to episode 4. I said, yeah, you gotta listen to the episode. It makes some really good points about that piece of shit movie, right? And he sends me back one of my quotes from our Ant-Man episode, Kyle.
Oh, okay.
Open quote. They suck. They suck dick. Close quote. When I was talking about the characters, and if you remember our Ant-Man episode, you're like, oh, okay, are we done with the characters? Like, yeah, they suck. They suck. Yeah.
Formulaic, yes.
Yeah. All right. There you go. I'm vindicated by my own brother.
So I just have one question about that because it all makes sense. But what job does he have that he's able to watch Ant-Man while he's at work? What job does he have?
If he calls in, I'll let him decide if he wants to share that information. Because we don't talk about.
That's true. I would love to know, Kev, if you're willing to share what role you hold at your company or place of work where you got to watch Ant-Man fully and get paid for it. I'd love to know that.
I'm sure his bosses would too, right?
All right. Andrea, again, sent us another bit about The Revenant. You mentioned a couple things before. But this one was in reference to one of my favorite directors. And I didn't mention this during the filming because I wanted to talk more about the continuous shots and the grueling filmmaking process and everything. But artfully, it was very similar to this director, she points out, Terrence Malick. And I don't know if you've ever seen a Terrence Malick film, but I think he's probably most famous for his film Badlands, which came out in the 70s, and The Thin Red Line is another one. I think there's something else called like A New World that came out recently. And then the most recent one I can think of is called Tree of Life. And I haven't seen this, but it was split between two camps. People that went and saw it and went, that was amazing and changed like my life. And people that went, what the hell was that piece of garbage? He's a very interesting director. I just saw Badlands recently for the first time, but it's all about the American wild, the American wilderness, the world that we're in, the nature that's around us, and how people interact with nature. So Badlands is a fascinating movie, and he has lots of really brilliantly framed nature shots, and these are like the big wide shots, like the epic displays, and usually they're really long as well. So he's got the wide, long shots that he uses, very similar to The Revenant. I think The Revenant sticks a little bit more towards that other directing style I was mentioning with what's that film? You know the film. You know the one.
Children of Men.
Children of Men. Thank you. Sticks a little bit more towards that. Yeah. But the Terrence Malick is definitely in that scope and was a huge influence on this film and that director as well. So, well pointed out.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
Next listener mail?
Yeah, next one.
Here we go. This one comes to us courtesy of Dan from Singapore.
Dan!
Yo, Dan. What's up, man?
I think I have one from Dan, too.
All right. Dan says, in reaction to the animation episode.
Oh, yes. That was what I was just going to talk about. Pray tell, James.
Yeah, well, we'll split it. How about that? He recommended, and oh boy, Dan, you're my man and all that, but I'm definitely not going to see this movie. He recommended Zootopia.
He did.
For the racial undertones, including backhanded compliments to the fox, I guess. Oh, you're really articulate for a fox or whatever, right? Yeah, I get it. I can't. I can't. Anyway.
I know
but the other half of Dan's message that I wanted to read was, he says, I'm a little bit behind on listening to the podcast, but I love the ones I heard, Kyle.
Yeah, right, I saw that as well. Some really good support.
Yep, good support.
So I had the exact same thing I was going to talk about because we're well prepared and we talked about this ahead of time. Dan, on the animation episode, suggested some films for you. Zootopia was one, and I think that I've mentioned at this point that I've seen Zootopia as well, and I really thought it was excellent. I know you'll never go and see it, but here's the deal. I just want to sell you on this point, because I know one of your main concerns about the film is we don't need to represent like really complicated ideas in this dumbed down way for children. I know that's been your take on it. So here is what I want to say about it. First of all, it does that thing that you hate extremely, extremely well. And I think for a lot of kids that are growing up in environments where there's a tightrope between right and wrong in terms of how we're classifying people and if we should not, and how we're handling that in our society. It does a fantastic job of representing that, just using something as simple that all the kids will understand as animals that eat other animals and animals that don't eat other animals. So carnivores and herbivores, and they all live in this like mammalian society, and it's really fascinating. But something else that it does really well, and why I did not think this was a kids movie when I went and saw it, was terrifying all the children in the theater. I think like a quarter of the theater left and was crying at some point during this film.
Wow.
Because it was scary, and there was a jump scare in it that launched me out of my seat, and I do not, and maybe it was because I was so far removed, I was never expecting that, but there is some heavy stuff in this in terms of the main plot, which is essentially a really good detective story as well, which is pretty interesting. So it harkens back to noir films with this cop that has to work with this criminal, basically this petty criminal, to solve this crime. It goes back to the noir genre. It does the lighting, it does the tropes extremely well, and I've seen a couple theories on it and topics that it represents, and one of them, one of the theories that's launched was about the like crack epidemic in the 70s and how the government might be like suppressing the citizens with crack cocaine.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa. So shout out to wherever I saw that, Film Theory, Matt Pat's Film Theory on YouTube. That was a wonderful episode about that specific topic. Really, really heavy themes. I mean, there's a Breaking Bad reference in it when they're like distilling these flowers down for this crazy chemical they're like poisoning people with. It is nuts.
Jesus.
But anyway, it's really deep. So in all of that world, if you could separate yourself from it, and you got it on a bootleg from Ecuador, I think you would passively enjoy watching it.
All right.
Okay, but moving on.
Okay.
Said my piece on Zootopia. WALL-E I think you would love, but you'll never see. And he recommended WALL-E for you. The two you should absolutely see that he recommended. I've seen one of these. Persepolis, if you haven't seen that, and Waltz with Bashir.
You've seen that, yeah?
I have not seen Waltz with Bashir. I've seen Persepolis, and it is amazing. And both are films that you talk about all the time, political situations in the Middle East that resonate really hard with you. They're very well stylized animated films. They're not kids' movies. They're grown up and tough and hard and violent and dark and really important and interesting. And I'm pretty sure both of these were nominated for the Academy Awards when they came out as well. But thank you, Dan.
Excellent, Dan.
Those are some great suggestions I'd recommend for you on our animation topic, as well as just movies in general.
Very good.
I'm going to see Waltz with Bashir as well.
Excellent. I'll get them from the library or something.
Yeah.
My bootleg source is kind of dried up. Anyway, all right, here we go. After all that seriousness, let's get lighthearted.
Bring us some lightheartedness.
Here we go.
I've got nothing else.
Here we go.
So send us some.
Right.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Here we go with this one.
Run them down.
Here we go. Here's I wonder who sent us this one. Here we go.
I wonder who. Let's try and guess.
Open quote.
Okay.
In reaction to The Revenant and what happened, if you listened all the way through The Revenant, you know what happened at the end of that podcast with the joke, right?
Yes.
Kyle's mangling of a name, right? It was a lot of fun. Open quote. Kyle Forster, the only person I know who can make a Latino name sound Korean. Yeah. Very good. Very good.
I don't know what was happening to me that day.
Okay. Kevin, my brother, sends us this one as well. In reference to when I got caught up on some rollerblading movie.
Oh, yes.
Which we now know the title to is Airborne.
Thanks to Nick as well.
Yes.
He Facebooked it.
Airborne, a movie that takes place in Cincinnati.
Yes. Thank you, Nick.
My brother, come on. How do you not remember the Hydrox to the gleaming the cube of the Oreo with the... Anyway, the bottom line is... and that's a total inside joke. Fuck it. We're moving on. Yeah, he says, Airborne is the name of the movie featuring Cincinnati. Why did that come up? Because your friend, which
right.
Pat? Which friend was Pat?
Yes.
Lives in Cincinnati. So Pat, Kyle's friend Pat, if you're listening, you got to check out Airborne.
Airborne.
All right?
Check it out.
In my family, Cincinnati is famous for two things: the Reds, baseball, and Airborne. A stupid, funny movie.
And Skyline Chili.
All right.
For better or for worse. Also, shout out to Pat for the no one will ever believe us that review he gave of the Tarantino film was impromptu, but that was incredible.
Oh, yeah.
And I went and saw that afterwards, and I totally agree with everything that you said about it. It was a really, really interesting film. Yeah.
Oh, no, Pat, we got to have Pat back on.
Yeah, Pat's coming
Next
back
time
on.
we do cold calls or something like that. Absolutely.
Good work, Pat.
All right, let me see if I can find some more.
Pat's going to be our Midwest field reporter. What's going on in Cincinnati, Pat? Send us an email, loudontheset@gmail.com. All right, you got any more for us?
I'm trying.
I'm fresh out. I have a couple banked and saved for later because they're a very recent things. So
okay.
So we'll talk about them in a little bit.
All right, here's another one from Kev Bo.
Yes, give us another Kev.
Wouldn't you know it? I just finished your Malcolm X podcast. Great job, boys. Hey, look at that.
Oh, what? Ending on a good note.
It doesn't have to. Yeah, we'll end with that one.
Excellent.
That? Yeah.
Well, thank you, Kev, and thank you for all the hilarious comments and everything. We'll have to have Kev on the show one time to review a film. It'll be like Loud on the Set with Kyle and James, pretty much. So it'll be fun. But anyway, again, thank you all so much for the comments, so much for your recommendations. You'll be hearing them coming up on future episodes. If you have any more, if you have suggestions, please send them loudontheset@gmail.com. We've got a special guest that's going to be joining us in the near future from Los Angeles to talk about some interesting aspects of filmmaking with us. So get ready for that. And thank you for your recommendation and for sending that in. Loudontheset@gmail.com. Check us out on YouTube and iTunes. We'd love to hear from you. And thank you all very sincerely for listening and supporting the podcast. We raffled away our gift card that went out to Jennifer, and she's gonna go and see a movie with her husband, and then they're gonna hop on the show and review it with us as well. So
excellent.
It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Great.
Awesome. Well, go and see some good movies. In the meantime, let us know what you think about them, and have a wonderful, wonderful time doing it.
See you later.
And cut.